Ghost roll raffles have been added to the game. The very sought after feature is finally here. Now you no longer have to spam click request on more interesting ghost rolls and hope that you have better ping and saw it first before every other ghost in the lobby. Obviously, not every role in the game will have a raffle, and the raffles aren't all quite made equally. For example, if I try to join as a space ninja, once I finish clicking request, with just one person in the raffle, there's a 30-second countdown timer, so all the ghosts have a 30-second time to at least see this, and the time will go up if more people join the raffle, which I'll show in a moment. Less interesting roles like mice and even things like Pun Pun do not have a raffle. If there's no raffle, it'll say request. If there is a raffle, it'll say join raffle. Space dragons have gained a new ability, and that is to breathe fire. The fire is more akin to a fireball, but it's also a unique projectile in the fact that it constantly explodes and then can hit something. Anyways, to breathe fire, it's an action in the top left, dragon's breath, spew out flames, anyone foolish enough to attack you. What this actually does is it gives you an action, a left click action, but there is no indication that you have it selected, and there's no mouse indication that it's going to do that action. So you must be very careful that you don't end up accidentally shooting a fireball into yourself or your own carp. The way the breath works is you click in a direction, and it will keep exploding all the way until it hits a wall. So if you shoot it down a hallway, it can make several explosions and set many people on fire. The explosions themselves don't do a ton of damage, but you can still break things like glass a little bit with it. It still breaks furniture and stuff, so there is destructibility to it, but it's not the most powerful explosion ever. Due to the way the explosion works, you typically want to try to shoot into a backline of a group because the explosion is like a 3x3. So if you can sink it further into a group of people, you're going to end up setting more people on fire. The fire breath is only on a 5-second cooldown, so the dragon can set on fire, but the fire does 0 damage to them. But you can hurt yourself with your own explosion. So the explosion again is not super high damaging, but probably don't shotgun yourself with it unless you're completely surrounded or something like that. Your carp are not immune to the explosion or the flames. So if you end up hitting your own carp army with a fireball, you may doom your small army to die. Robotics Control Console has been added to the game. The console itself is locked without the research director's approval. This will give you a full list of all the nanotrescent specific cyborgs on the station. You can click on them, it'll tell you their current battery charge, their brain if their brain is installed or if it's just a frame, and how many modules they might have. Doesn't tell you what the modules are. Also, it does tell you their name and stuff, so you do want to at least pay attention to which Borg is what, because that'd be pretty important before you pluck their brain out or just destroy them. Anyways, unless the research director unlocks the console, there's not really much you can do with it. Once it is unlocked, though, you'll have the option to disable or destroy any of the cyborgs on the list. If you click disable on a cyborg and they're not Emagged, it will just immediately pop their brain out, and if you try to click on them again, the disable button will gray out. However, though, if you do click destroy, it will explode the frame entirely, and if the brain's in it, though, the brain will remain intact. The destroy function is instant, and the damage is fairly high if you're like right in the center, but the explosion radius isn't huge. But as you can see, the brain still survived Emagged Cyborg. So if you click disable, obviously it won't disable it, and it seemingly doesn't actually gray out it doesn't gray out the option because it's not actually disabling it. And if you try to destroy it, it will actually play a fake message in chat saying that it is destroyed, and once you refresh the console, it will be entirely gone. Emagged cyborgs now no longer have an obvious tell. Before, if their panel was open and you shift click them, it would just straight up tell you that their chassis was Emagged. Now there is no indicator at all. You just will have to gauge that they're Emagged based off their behavior, and you can of course confirm that they're Emagged by using the robotics console, and if they don't blow up or are disabled when you try to disable or blow them up. Bullets will now pass over crit people, and just to clarify extra, that only means crit people, so if somebody gets stunned, you cannot shoot over them, but if I were to keep shooting to the point that they were crit, so I'll let them stand back up just to show this, shoot them till they're crit. If I aim past them now, the bullet will go past them. If I aim directly at their sprite, the bullet will hit them. A new random event type has been added called unknown shuttles. And these unknown shuttles are really just shuttles lost into space that have different people on them. There are 6 currently. One of them I'm not including is because it's lone ops. It's just re-merged into the system basically. But for example, if we look at the cargo lost shuttle, it will end up spawning 2 ghost rolls. In this case, both lost cargo technicians. Something went wrong in your cargo shuttle with the goods, was beamed into the sector to another station. And on here is literally 2 ghost rolls with some equipment and goodies, and they are on a perfectly functioning cargo shuttle. They have no IDs or anything though, so you will need help actually being able to navigate through the station, but this will lead to great roleplay, and I've already seen it lead to some great roleplay in rounds I played earlier today. All large guns can now be wielded, and they suffer an accuracy penalty if they are not wielded. So that even includes weapons like laser rifles, where normally they were always completely accurate, but if you try to fire a laser rifle one-handed, you can see that it just does not shoot straight. That means you have to press Z to wield all the weapons, and then they shoot pretty much perfectly straight. They end up retaining pretty much their original accuracy. This can get kind of awkward for certain guns, like C20s, for example, or just like any gun with a bolt. Z used to be the way to bolt the gun, so now, as far as I'm aware, you pretty much have to just hover over the gun and press E to bolt it, and guns are pretty inaccurate one-handed. Like, the C20 looks almost like the L6 saw. Pretty much all guns are inaccurate this way. So I guess in a way this makes pistols more viable because you don't have to wield them. Giving up a hand is always a big combat detriment, but since everyone has to do this, now this will slow down combat a little bit and force you to have good hand management in order to maintain accuracy with your guns. The various dispensers in the game now have a significantly improved UI. On this UI, you'd have larger buttons, a just cleaner selector for amounts, and you can actually watch the container fill up in real time to see the colors. Overall, it looks really nice, and even on dispensers that have a lot more things in it, like a chemical dispenser, it still looks great. This is great for bartenders, chemists, anyone who has access to these machines. Supply bots are back, and they are a ghost robot that can drive around with an internal storage, so they bring supplies, and they can be made round star very easily by scientists. It needs a proximity sensor, a borg head, and 10 steel, so really you just need some steel and access to the robotics vendor to get a proximity sensor, and you can make your very own supply bot, which very useful, and it's a ghost role that actually has a purpose. This one's purely for roleplay, but now when you are assigned as a syndicate agent, it will tell you which company you belong to. So for example, in this case, I am a part of the Gorlex Marauders, so it's really just there for some roleplay purposes. Outer clothing that is not armored, so that includes things like jackets, hoodies, you name it, no longer have things put on the suit slot. So if I put on the bomber jacket, I can't put the Lecter on my back anymore. However, if I put on normal body armor, I can put the Lecter on my back. Burn damage is now half as efficient at cauterizing wounds. Also, touching light bulbs does less damage, so if you really want to cauterize yourself on a light bulb, you have to be willing to take more damage than before and click it many times because it does less damage, or you just have to hit yourself with a welder more times than you used before. So this definitely increases the value of things like tourniquets, gauze, you name it, for actually stopping bleeding, because burning yourself will do twice as much damage, so it's less ideal. The way reflecting works has been changed. You now have a much higher chance of reflecting things when you are moving slow or not moving at all. You even have an indicator on the screen that will tell you that. You have a chance of deflecting coming projectiles, standing still, or moving slowly to increase this chance. Without getting into numbers too specifically, like the energy sword, while standing completely still, has a 50% chance of reflecting both bullets and energy projectiles. If you slowly walk, your odds will be better at reflecting than if you're full sprinting, and it's based off your velocity, so if you're wearing heavy armor and moving slower, your odds of reflecting will be higher than somebody who is sprinting at full speed. So it's just something worth keeping in mind. For things that are fast like ninjas though, they're not punished by the system. They have innate reflection, meaning that they will always reflect regardless of their speed, so they're not just punished for being fast. This one's hard to showcase, but event waits have been changed across the board. Also, events occur just more often with less delay in between them. So this, in my experience from the few days I played with this change, has made for more chaotic rounds with things happening more often and more mid-round in tags due to this. The various Atmos pipes can all be used as weapons now. The damage varies per pipe, but they max out at about 10 damage. The T-pipe and the plus shape are both 10 damage melee. The straight pipe is about the same as a crowbar, and the elbow pipe can actually be used as a throwing weapon and does okay melee damage. Being on fire while wearing a hardsuit or fire suit now has different effects. You don't take damage from the fire directly, but you will take some damage from heating up. It seems like just some residual burn damage. But overall, the gist of this is if you're wearing a hardsuit or fire suit and get caught on fire, you're most likely going to be fine. Ninjas have a new objective, which is to set everyone to wanted by using your gloves to hack a criminal's records console. You can typically find these in the bridge or in any brig, and once you finish hacking it, of course, you will end up getting the green text, And there will be a message in chat saying that Criminal Records has detected a redacted error, and this will again set every single person on the station to wanted, effectively screwing over any security work that they've had. They better hope they had an actual physical paper trail of who's wanted. You cannot put command members in handcuffs as a revolutionary, and that will consider them dead while they are in custody, and if you manage to cuff, say they're the last command member alive, it will call the shuttle just as if you were to have killed them. Rather useful for those trying to do a bit of extra roleplay and take over the station without killing every single person they can. Spiders and slimes can now Wideswing, which always ends up increasing the deadliness of these ghost rolls. Typically the AI end up being more deadly than people because the AI really don't miss. They're perfectly precise where players can miss, but it's a lot harder to miss when you can actually Wideswing through people. That's the last thing I'll cover for this week. I want to thank all of our maintainers and contributors for all their hard work before the content freeze started. The content freeze, it will lift on June 14th, and all the content freeze means is that no new features or balance changes will be accepted unless it's a bug fix or polishing something. It's possible Wound Med might get added sometime between now and June 14th, but it's hard to say if that will actually happen. Anyways, though, the update video specifically, will return at least a week after June 14th. So until then, thank you all for watching.